All right, welcome to another edition of the American Truck Driver Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Polk, alongside Larry Long, and we are going to talk today about opportunities. Uh, the title of this episode is going to be something like The Lunatic Fringe, something about lunatics. That's going to be something that we're going to tell you a story about. But we've got a lot of really important things that we want to cover in this episode, and we want to kind of dig deep because we want you to understand that um, the opportunity. We talk about seeing the opportunity, and the opportunity here is an opportunity to build wealth, an opportunity to obtain freedom. Trucking is the vehicle, and that's what you'll find out as we begin to talk about this. Trucking is the vehicle that we use to build that wealth, but it's secondary. So we're going to talk about some issues pertaining to the trucking industry today, but we want to talk about some fundamentals and some basics. So, Larry, where would you like to begin as we go down this path?
Well, uh, why don't we go ahead and deal with the current events since they're kind
Right,
of
right. Yeah.
dovetail in here. So why don't we talk about that first, and then we'll tie it into what our overall message is. And part of this is that we've got 2 or 3 weeks worth of subject matter here that we're kind of cramming into one recording session here. So we've got a lot of information, but fortunately, it all does work together. We're just trying to figure out what order to give it to you in. But let's just do that. Let's talk about California. Let's talk about how that actually was timely with our last podcast.
Yeah.
And let's start there. Okay.
Okay. So California passed a bill this week, and this bill deals with the classification of contractors. If you go back and listen to the last episode where we talked about 1099 versus W-2, we broke that down and we explained what is an employee and what is a contractor and why it's not in your benefit either as a business owner or as a truck operator, as a driver, to either pay someone on a 1099 or be paid on a 1099 unless you own a truck. The bottom line, I think, as far as either one of us is concerned, is that this bill in California is a response to those of us in the trucking industry not cleaning our own house. And we did not take care of business, and we allowed for some bad practices to grow. And when we did that, we created an opportunity for the state to come in and start throwing their weight around. And so this is happening because of a failure on our part as an industry. We shouldn't need the government to come in and do this, but yet here they are. So this is going to create a lot of problems for owner operators. I'm not convinced that it's the end of owner operators in California. Number one, that gives legislation way too much credit because it's not magic. It's not omnipresent. It's not supernatural. It just creates stumbling blocks along the way that people are going to have to move around. So if someone is living in California and they're an independent owner operator, they're the true definition of an independent contractor, this bill is going to make their life more difficult, but it's not going to make it impossible. I also believe...
Now, remember, they caused it with the ports.
Oh, 100%.
You had people there that had trucks, making a living, doing fine, and then CARB made them get rid of those trucks, and those guys couldn't afford to buy new, or they couldn't convert their trucks and had to buy new ones.
The market would not.
The
market would not bear deals. Right. The market would not bear the cost of the newer trucks. It just wasn't enough margins. That's why those guys were using old paid-for trucks, because the margins were such that they could use those old trucks and make a living, and then the government unilaterally came in and rendered all of their trucks illegal and created a system, a situation where they had to have new trucks in order to do the same job they were doing yesterday. And they went from an asset, of $0 to an asset of $150,000. And it was either shut the ports down, and because if all the drivers had just walked off and said, okay, you made our trucks illegal, so we're done. Well, that shuts the entire United States economy down. So the freight had to be moved. So other people came in and said, okay, well, we'll buy the trucks and we'll just lease them to the drivers. But the margins were not there based on the market that had been growing there for years. There was not enough margins in there to pay for these new expensive trucks. And so who benefited? Well, the government benefited. The truck manufacturers benefited. The banks benefited. The carriers, or not, I'm sorry, not the carrier. Well, the freight carriers for the shipping and all those people benefit, and the drivers got screwed. So that created this environment where people who were making a living yesterday are not making a living today. And of course, everybody gets the blame except the government. The CARB and the government in California, they get a complete pass. Nobody blames them for starting this. So of course, now you have people that were formerly making a living. Now they can't make a living, and now they're working, either as 1099s, they're working as contractors, and they're starving to death, and they're looking for answers. So again, California decides what they need is more legislation. So they bring in more legislation to fix the problem, and all they're going to do is make it worse. What we want to try to do is we want to focus around that. We want to get beyond the classification, and we want to get to the principle. And the principle is service. The principle is hard work. These are the things that are going to make you successful. And it doesn't matter what the government says. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. This industry is so unique in that you can make an investment as little as $10,000 and be making money tomorrow. You can not have a CDL and in a matter of weeks be in a truck making money at very low cost, if not any cost, So that's what we want to talk about, because while this driver classification thing is a problem, the legislation is going to be a problem. There is still a way to succeed, be successful, and build wealth in this industry, regardless of all of this legislation. And it's all noise, and we need to kind of get around to that and talk about the basics.
Well, and it doesn't really even apply. Like in our case, we don't have independent contractors. We have employee drivers. Right. It wouldn't affect us to begin with. And as long as you're doing business properly, you've really got nothing to worry about. So I'm not concerned about it. All it's going to do for us is create more opportunity, create more market, right? So it's not a big deal. Yeah, but let's talk about what you're talking about here. We can create a business model here, and we have, where we can use an industry like trucking, which has a very low threshold for being able to get into business, and we've talked about that in past podcasts. It's if you've got basically a pulse, you can get in this business. As long as you've got decent driving record and you take care of that. The biggest problem you have in this industry with losing opportunity is losing your CDL through too many accidents, too many tickets, DUI, drug stuff. I mean, that's your medical. That's your pass to this opportunity. If as long as you take care of that privilege, as the state wants to call it, then this opportunity exists for you rather uniquely in this industry, I might add. And as you said earlier, and I'll reiterate that, is that you can, in this business, you can, with zero credit and zero experience and hardly any, you can go get a truck tomorrow. You can put that truck on with the carrier, and by the next day, you can bump a dock and actually have money in a settlement. Yep. And that's so unique, and the cost of getting into this business is so low, And that's why so many people do it, and when they're not really ready for it. We're saying, let's take this opportunity, let's use this vehicle, pun intended, to be our our roadmap, our the way of going about accomplishing what we want to accomplish by doing it through trucking as the overall shell, if you will.
Okay.
And as long as you, like I say, as long as you can get and maintain a CDL and get and maintain, a 1 year track record, you can write your own ticket in this business. Okay,
Okay.
so
Well, let's start right there.
okay,
Let's start. Let's hit that point.
okay,
If someone is watching this or listening to this podcast right now, and they're outside the trucking industry, I can look you in the face and I can say, okay, right now you don't have a commercial driver's license, you don't have any experience, and I can tell you that if you will obtain a CDL, which is go to a trucking school, you can pay for it yourself out of your pocket. You could have a carrier pay it for you by working for them for an amount of time. If you will get that CDL, if you will go work for a carrier for 1 year and maintain a clean, safe driving record, you could come to work at a place like Blue Ribbon, and there are others, but you could come and work at a place like this.
we're the best.
We are the best.
We are the best.
Don't forget that. But you could come here, for example, where you would earn $75,000 to $80,000 a year. You would learn from us and how we do our process. We would prepare you to get your own truck. And within a couple of years, you could be making $130,000 to $150,000 a year net profit, taxable income. And in as little as 10 years, you could be a millionaire starting from zero. That's a mathematical, statistical certainty. Now, it takes behavior and takes discipline, and there's a lot of stuff to it. But if you don't, you could start right now today without a CDL. Go get a CDL. Keep your record clean. Don't run over anybody. Don't kill anybody. Don't tear up any equipment. Do that for a year. Come here, work a couple of years, learn the business, get your own truck, and within 10 years of operating your own truck, if you're responsible and you're service-oriented and you're disciplined, you could make $1 million in 10 years without question. Unfortunately, there's so much noise. I was making this point with a guy earlier today. We were talking, he's not in trucking. And I said, we have, as an industry, we have created an environment where entry into the market, the door is very narrow. It comes through giant corporations. That's how you get in. You have to drive for the Swifts, Schneiders, JB Hunts, whoever's doing the training. That's the only way, because we don't train. We don't have the insurance to train. We don't have the infrastructure to train, and most other small carriers don't either. So over some period of time, over the last 20 or 30 years, we have absolved ourselves of the responsibility of bringing in and training new drivers, and we've passed that off to Swift and Schneider. And then we, who are the majority of the industry, that 80 or 90% that aren't the big carriers, well, we're shocked that we go out looking for drivers and all we find around us are robots. Yet they came through a robot training factory. They were trained how to be robots. They were trained how to be wage slaves. And then they come out here, and I'm starting to see some irony in the fact that we're shocked that because we as an industry put them through the robot training camp, that they're coming out robots. Well, why wouldn't they? But that's the system that we've created. And I can't even really blame the carriers. Why, if I'm going to spend the money and take the risk to train drivers, well, why wouldn't I train them to operate how I want them to operate? I don't want them to question me. I don't want them to understand anything beyond the hood of their truck. So I don't see malice in it.
Well, and
But
keep in mind, there's no formal education system. They're trained by someone else who was trained by someone else who was trained
right,
by someone else. So you've got this ear to mouth kind of a thing, which, there's no one sits in that truck and monitors what that training program is. It's whatever that trainer, so it self perpetuates. It's not like you
right,
bring in critical thinkers who have gotten an education somewhere else and have applied themselves, and you have this different creative out of the box kind of experience. As a matter of fact, that's highly discouraged.
right.
That you probably wouldn't get to stay if you were that creative and out of the box.
Yeah,
Because your driver manager would recognize that and he'd go, whoa, 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 back in the cage there. Don't get. So those, and that again, that's what drives people to the desire for them to become owner operators, is the
yeah,
ones that see that, look, I can function here better than in this cage. That's where or they know people, they've got other people that are drivers that are doing it, and they're going, oh, so and so now can't, they don't have to do this. So that creates a demand. Problem is, we don't have the skill sets and the
yeah,
background and stuff to stay in the business after, but with no training. But that's what we're doing. That's
right.
exactly what we're doing here. And you're right. Um, we talked about this the other day. Right now our model is our first big class, which we're putting together for next year, is going to be 10 drivers, 10 trucks, 10 drivers. Okay, we've got probably half those filled, so we're looking for 5 drivers. Okay, that want to come on somewhere and make $75,000 or $80,000 a year for a couple of years while getting an invaluable education,
Yeah,
and in a couple of years have their own truck and be in a position to make 120 to 200 for as long as they want to do it. Okay.
yeah,
Now, our recruiting, whatever you want to call it, our demographic for what we're looking at, there are 3 million trucks on the road, rounded. There are 6 point some million numbers of active CDLs on the road, or out available to us right now.
right.
So we need 5 people, and we've got 6 million to draw from,
And we've got an uphill battle.
and we struggle to find the right one. Now, here's the other problem, and this will probably get into a little bit of our lunatic topic a little bit, but people think that we're looking for truck drivers. See,
Mm,
that's the problem, is that we haven't, because we're in the trucking industry, we
right,
have an image problem, or we have a stereotype situation where we're being painted by the broad brush. Blue Ribbon Logistics, with a Facebook ad, we look like XYZ Trucking or anybody else. Well, they're looking for drivers. We get inquiries and stuff. I hear you guys are looking for drivers. And of course, the easy answer to that is yes. But the truth is, we're not. You
right.
know, if you really want to be a truck driver, this is not the place for you.
Yeah, you'll be miserable.
We're not looking for truck drivers, because truck drivers, for the most part, don't understand what we're doing, don't appreciate what we're doing, and certainly don't have that heart of a servant. Um, and let me describe it to you this way. We talked about how what's possible in this business. There's no reason that a guy couldn't come in this trucking business, keep his nose clean, get a little experience, and in 10, 15 years, say, could be independently wealthy, have $1 million in the bank, and have all the options in the world available to him. Yet, how come nobody does it, or very, very few people do it?
Right.
And this is really what we try to illustrate, is that because it is so um, not about being a truck driver. You know, uh,
Right.
we're going to use an example here. We've had a young fellow that came on with us a few months ago, and when we recruited him, he wanted to be an owner operator, but more than that, he wanted to be a fleet owner. He wanted to be in my chair in a few years. Out of his own mouth, he said, "I want to do what you're doing. I want to have a fleet." And but what he didn't realize is that, yes, you have to have that core skill set of being an adequate, I don't even say a good, but an adequate truck driver. You have to be able to back up and hit docks. You have to be able to deliver on time. You have to be able to, to do all the things it takes to deliver freight. But that is such a small percentage of what we do.
Yeah.
Our conscious effort every day is not about that. And especially when we're teaching someone that's coming in, because we're having to redirect their attention from those things that should be like riding a bicycle. You get on it every day, you do it. How much time do you have to spend thinking about delivering a load? But what you need to be thinking about are the other things. And this young fella, he wanted to make big money. He wanted to do the freight that pays the best. Well, to do that, you've got to be a pretty good trip planner. You got to be a pretty good time manager. You got to be a pretty good problem solver. You got to be able to look ahead and see what's coming because you're working under the constraints of an ELD and hours of service and all these when customers are open, when they're not open, holiday weekend. When all these things factor in to your ability to make this big money because if you just don't show up whenever you want to and it works that way. You know how
Right.
this works.
Yeah.
And so to make a long story short, young fella over a holiday weekend, he made several judgment errors in his time management and therefore wasn't able to deliver the freight, and did
Yep.
not realize, and his complaint was, well, you guys have put 5 or 8 loads on me at one time. Well, yeah, that's what we do. If you're going to make $100,000 a year, you're going to have 5 to 8 loads on you at any one time. Otherwise, there's
Consecutive.
no
Consecutive load.
consecutive.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Over a period of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but if you don't do it that way, you can't plan yourself out far enough to be efficient enough to make that money. And that's the I think I don't think he understood. I mean, in his mind, the people that he mentored or modeled himself after called and got a load or two at a time, and which is fine. I mean, the industry does that, but the industry also averages 65 grand a year, you know.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're talking about here is that everybody has this opportunity, but how many people actually take advantage of it? How many people really, really do it? And, everybody's heard this thing, doing and knowing what to do and doing what is two different things. And we all know what we should be doing, but do we all have the discipline to to do what we know to do and not just take the easy way out or not be lazy and take and decide that you're just gonna. So that's what we're talking about here, and in tying this back to the California thing, that whole mess out there just was because our industry just got very lazy there. And now the government came in and fixed it up for us. So um, let's go back to the opportunity thing. You know, the thing that makes what we do so unique is that it's so counterintuitive. You know, we it we have developed a model that works. We've got a vehicle here with trucking and especially with our carrier Landstar. And the reason we use Landstar again is because it truly is the only example in this industry I can find that it's the free market. We have complete control. There is no limit. There's no restriction. So we can take our philosophy and we can work it in the Landstar system, and it doesn't restrict us at all. And that's why we're here.
Right.
But we can take this opportunity and we can explain to people how that. I mean, why is it that someone can come to work for us and in a year or two own their own truck and be making 120, 150 and more $1,000 a year, where the average owner operator in 2018, the best year on record in this industry, the average owner operator made $65,000. Why is it that we can teach people how to make double that?
Yeah.
Well, it's because we don't do things like everybody else does.
Well, and I think it's important to point out for context that because you have absolute freedom as an owner operator, well, you may see a guy that made $65,000 last year, but he probably only worked 6 months out of the year. You know, there's um, there's an opportunity, obviously, to set yourself up to where you don't have to run 140,000 miles a year. And that's possible. And so if you only want to make 50, well, you can make 50. You just don't have to work as hard to get there. You just have to make sure that everything else about your operation is sustainable. Your truck's paid for. You've got a good maintenance program. And so I would guess that there were a lot of people that instead of taking advantage of 2018 to make big piles of money, they just worked less and made the same. They made the same amount of money they made in 2017. They just worked 30% less, which is fine if
sure.
if your operation is set up for that. Now we don't operate that way because we cannot pay a driver. If we operated our trucks that way, our drivers would make $30,000. Well, that
we make nothing,
and we make nothing. Obviously, we have to be profitable.
But get back to your original point, though, Chris, and that is that we're not trying to teach people how to be trucking companies.
Right.
We're trying to teach people how to become independently wealthy.
Right.
Independently wealthy. Okay. So you don't do that by taking the best year on record and working half the year and sitting on your ass the other half the year.
Right.
Okay? So there's the problem with that. That's the problem with that right there. I mean, that, and that goes back to what we're saying. When we're recruiting people, we're recruiting people that would not do that. That's part of what we're looking for, is a certain individual, that's hungry. Now they're going to come to us. They're going to already be in debt. Probably very much in debt. Probably not very good time managers, and lots of skills that they don't have, but they're going to have if they're going to be extremely successful in any business, much less this one. So that's when we say we're not looking for a truck driver. That's what I mean. I mean, I need somebody that is hungry. I need somebody that is sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
They don't know how they're going to do it, but they really want to do it.
Yeah.
And we can use this trucking thing because it's so easy. And I'm going to piss a bunch of people off, but a monkey can drive a truck, okay? I mean, look at me. I started driving a truck when I was 55 years old, okay? I made more money in trucking than most people will make, ever.
Right.
And I'm not that good of a truck driver, okay? This industry has so much opportunity, Now, if you're a good truck driver, you probably can make even more because I have to watch the loads I take, I don't go to New York City, So, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's so easy to get in this business. All you got to do is take care of that. I can't stress to you enough, take care of that CDL. As a matter of fact, while we're talking about that, let me just give you a couple opinions here. In my opinion, you're stupid if you don't have a dash cam. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it just takes one. He said, she said, and now you're out of this opportunity. This opportunity is great, but you have to have that CDL to take advantage of it. So a dash cam, I even think you ought to go ahead and get a prepaid legal service and have that as part of your team, because today, I mean, I was really lucky, but I was running freight about a year ago. 2 years ago, actually. I was doing a dedicated automotive load from Northern Ohio to Kansas City to the Ford plant out there. And I got off of whatever it is. What's the road, the highway that goes from 70 up to Ford plant there? What's it, 635 or something, I think it is? Or
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever that bypass is. And I get off there, and a guy, a four-wheeler pulls over right, I mean, cuts me off right in front, and then stands on the brakes. I mean, just stops on a dime. And it was all I could do not to hit him. Now, if I had hit him and I hadn't had the dash cam, well, you know how that story's going to go. I had zero defense. Now, fortunately, I didn't hit him, but I had a dash cam. So it showed very clear because I downloaded it right then just in case. This numbnuts came back. And so it showed very clearly exactly what happened. Zero question. That could have been the difference right there between me having a CDO or not. Right there, one instant, one split second on one day.
Yeah.
And we need to have this job for 10, 12, 15 years to make our goals. Okay? So you got to be careful that something's not going to happen or a series of things are going to happen. We got a guy right now we'd love to hire. Okay? Here's the pisser about this, okay? Here's a guy that is doing a new kind of a job. He's doing a I guess you'd call it a store delivery kind of thing.
Dedicated store delivery.
Delivering way out here in these country places where Chris says that you have to drive down a goat path to get to it.
True story.
And so he has bumped a couple of things, and being the guy he is, stand-up guy, National Guard guy, he has reported everything. Okay. Well, now because he's had a couple of these incidents, we can't hire him. But now the guy that took my mirror off the other night while my truck sat at the truck stop while I was going to buy another truck, took both my mirrors off the right side of my truck and didn't leave a note, didn't tell anybody, just left. He's a safe driver.
Yep.
He's out here working now. And I've got an honest guy that reported everything, and now you can't. The point I'm trying to make to you is that without your CDL, this opportunity doesn't exist for you. Okay.
Yep.
And this opportunity is so unique because, like we've said over and over again, you can get in a truck today, you can bump a dike, you can have money in the bank in the morning. I've been in a lot of businesses. I've never been in any business where I can make this money this quick, without a huge investment of time, experience, money. So this is why we see this opportunity as being such a great opportunity, because you can get into it for nothing. You can look, I listen to Dave Ramsey all the time because I drive at night. And I listen to these guys every night call in, every night, one call after another after another. And you know how he does. He starts asking, well, what's your debt? What's your debt? Most of these people have got 20, 40, 60. I had one last night, 200 and some $1,000 worth of student loans. And he goes, well, who's the doctor? None of us. Who's the lawyer? None of us. They were some kind of I don't know, couldn't even get a job in the field. It cost them $200,000 to get this degree. They couldn't even get a job. So how many years do you have to work? I mean, this person was making $40,000 a year now after spending $200,000 to get an education. It's making $40,000. How many years do you have to work to pay that student loan back? Okay. You can come here. Let's take a worst case scenario like I did. You come here, you take the money out of your pocket, you go to CDL school and pay them $6,000. You go work for another company for a year and get paid as a company driver. But then where's the student loan debt? You don't have that. You could even go to work for a training company and probably not even have to pay for the $6,000. They'll probably give you the CDL training as long as you stay for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can get in this business and be able to, and by the way, the person that spent $200,000 for their education, they're making $40,000 a year. You can come in this business as a company driver and make $50,000 or $60,000 a year,
Yeah.
And without the student debt. You can be owner, or you can come work for us and make $80,000 a year, and in a couple of years make $120,000, $150,000 with no student debt.
Yeah.
So this, so I mean, how long does it take? Say you come to us, and you got a bunch of credit. You say you're like most people. You bought too much shit you didn't need. You got too fancy of a car that you don't need. You got credit card debt. So let's say that that's the case. At $80,000 a year, working for us, how long is it going to take to straighten that out? And then if you, when you get that straightened out and we get you in your own truck where you're making $120,000, $150,000, how many years does it take for you to put enough money in the bank to where, you're independently wealthy? So that's what I get excited about. And that's why when I say we're not looking for truck drivers, we're looking for people who want to become successful.
Where did we see the indentured servant comment the other day?
somebody made a post that they couldn't. It was a Facebook post, I'm pretty sure, where they were complaining about the situation they were in. Because I made a response. I said something pretty smart aleck to him. Unindenture your ass, quit. He was in a job, and like most of these angry,
Ignorant.
entitled truck drivers are. He's complained about how many miles he was driving or whatever. I mean, I don't know what it was, but anyway, but he made the comment that he was an indentured servant. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, no, wait a minute. First of all, I don't think you probably know what that means, but he's trying to say he's a slave, is what he's trying to say, okay? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. If you're a slave, that means you can't leave. If you're a slave, that means you don't have any choices. If you're a slave, we don't have slavery. If you're a slave today, it's because you want to be one.
Yeah,
okay?
Choice.
Just like our last podcast, if you want to be a slave and be a 1099, that's on you. You don't have to do that. You don't have to take that job. You don't have to work for that person. You go find. There's plenty of people out here doing it right. So if you're an indentured servant in the trucking business, you're a moron. Is all I got to say. Because there's too many opportunities out here where you don't have to be that. But here's the other side of that story. We only see half of that. Okay. See, the other side of that story is his dispatcher or his truck owner or whoever it is got every bit, just as many complaints about that guy as that guy had about the job. I can tell you right now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That guy, what he's not saying is that, well, here's how many appointments I've missed. Here's how many, here's what I've done. There's a reason, why he's in that situation.
Well, and with our driver, that called us lunatics. That's where that came from, by the way.
Yeah, let's expand on that in a minute.
Y'all are lunatics.
Yeah.
I'm not the one that took the brakes. I'm not the one that wasn't driving the truck. I signed loads.
We had a guy work for us for 10 days, Chris. Okay. Now, this guy was on Facebook just pissing and moaning about how Landstar BCO screwed him over. Okay.
Yep.
And I saw it. I kind of felt sorry for him. I thought, you know me, I'm always trying to help people. Okay. So I look at this and I think, well, okay, I do know for a fact that BCO screw over people. I've seen it.
That happens.
No question about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a hold of the guy and, we got an empty truck. I'm like, okay, well, come on, here, this one won't screw you over. Okay. Come on, let's go to work. Bent our ass over backwards,
Yes, we did.
And got him here. This guy goes down, takes a load to Laredo, okay? Takes a 34-hour break down there, okay? Gets in, after a 34-hour break, gets in the truck, drives an hour and a half up the road, and takes a 10-hour break. Okay? Now, there's your slave, okay? There's your ignorant moron slave right there. Okay, it's not the industry. It's not his truck owner. Who does that? Guys on dedicated freight has to be at a certain place at a certain time. Drives an hour and a half down the road and takes a 10-hour break.
And then drives 1,000 miles in 24 hours
on personal conveyance.
On personal conveyance
to undo what he did,
and was shocked. I mean, beside himself. Well, I can't believe I got in trouble for that.
Think?
Really? So, you're surprised, are you?
Yeah. Well, so anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that you got to bring something to the party here. Okay. Yes, we have the opportunity. We have an outstanding opportunity. But if you come to work for us and you end up thinking that we're the lunatics, look, we had the wrong guy. Okay. As much as we want it for him, he's got to want it for himself just as much. And he has to understand that we're not running a truck driving school here. We
end up having to, but that's not
I haven't ridden a bicycle in probably 20 years. Okay. Maybe longer than that. But I guarantee you, I can go out here and get on one and ride it. I, I, I promise you I can do that, okay? So if you're a truck driver and you've been driving for a few years, you don't have to think about driving the truck, okay? That's why we don't hire new people. That's why we hire experienced people. Because that stuff's got to be second nature to you. I'm not
Right.
saying you got to be out here and be mind numb, but that shouldn't occupy the majority of your brain matter.
Right.
That should be like getting up and brushing your teeth. Okay. Um, so now let's take what you're not of your brain that you're not using to drive a truck. Let's take it now and let's give you the skill sets that you need to become a successful businessman, a successful, independent, wealthy person. We can't do that if you're struggling to drive the truck, if you're struggling to trip plan, if you're struggling to meet customer requirements.
Yeah.
It's hidden for you, you know, and 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 that's in every industry. There are winners and losers. Okay, I love them. God bless them, but everybody's not going to get a trophy. I've said that over and over and over again. There are winners and losers. Now, I know that's not politically correct, but you can buy a truck and you can get in the trucking business and you can fall on your ass tomorrow, okay? And there'll be another guy right next to you that will be just knocking a home run. And
Mm-hmm.
here you can't even get out of the dugout. And that's the beautiful thing about Landstars because everybody, I don't care if you've been here 30 years, you've been here 30 days. Everybody here gets the same low board, the same phone numbers, the same agents. The only difference is what that person's done by building the relationships in the time he's been here. It's the only
Yep.
difference. There's no advantage whatsoever. Nothing that you can't, there's nothing that I did that anybody that comes on after me can't do. And a good thing about coming on Blue Ribbon is that not only do you get to bring what you bring to the party, but we're going to give you everything. By all logic, you should leave here smarter than all the rest of us because you're bringing something to the party, and we're going to give you everything we got.
Mm-hmm.
So in 3 or 4 years, you should be better than us
Right.
because you had something when you came. You see,
Yeah.
and that's also a good point. Is that look, we kind of got this little thing going here where we're thinking we want to run 10 trucks, for a couple of years, and then maybe if we have got people that have that heart of a teacher and a heart of a servant, and they want to, maybe we could expand this opportunity to where they can then come on manage 10 trucks. This thing could be exponential. So, but we feel like our comfort zone for giving everybody the amount of attention that they're going to need is going to be 10 for right now. But down the road, who knows? Who knows? We might find another Chris Polk out there somewhere. So,
Yeah. Yeah. We'll take it. So we talked about the CDL, and just that basic tenet, that you have to have the license and you have to be able to keep it. The In my view, the thing that separates the truck drivers from the operators is the ability to serve. You know, um, you have to have an attitude of service that you're not, your personal needs are not your motivation. Meeting other people's needs is your motivation, and your needs are then met by your input. Um, and there's just such a horrible attitude society wide. And it is amplified, I think, in this business as much time as drivers get to spend by themselves in the truck, staring out the windshield, believing everything they think. We are seeing, um, people champion this move by the California government, and cheer it on. Hey, yeah, it's about time. We need somebody to protect us. Well, if you're looking for someone to provide you your security and protection, I can tell you right now, don't ever buy a truck. don't ever be self-employed, because you are going to be miserable, and you're probably going to fail, because if you don't understand that your liberty and your freedom is defended by you alone, you're really, really going to have a hard time at this business. You're just not going to understand what it takes to be successful, and how you're going to be able to partner with other people, and you're going to be able, you have to make deals, and you have to see opportunities. And if you have this mentality and this mindset, if you allow someone to create an enemy for you that doesn't exist, if someone creates an enemy for you, and then they step up and say, "Hey, that's your enemy. So you better let me protect you." Um, I just don't. I just don't have enemies. I just. I have. I mean, obviously, I have people. There are boundaries around me, and there are people that I won't, associate with, or whatever. But I just don't have those adversarial relationships in my life anymore, because I choose not to. I don't have an adversarial relationship with agents. I don't have an adversarial relationship with the carrier. I don't. It just it just doesn't happen. And I see in my social media feed, I read down through there, and I see Landstar drivers whining about all these agents this and these agents that, and I'm thinking, you may have had one agent do you wrong, or at least do something you didn't understand. But the fact that you're lumping, more than 1,000 different agencies all into the same thing because you had one marginally bad experience, I can guarantee you're the problem, not the agents.
Well, it doesn't matter, okay? Because here's the deal: if you think you're going to go through life and not have adversarial or things that don't go
your
the way
out.
you think they ought to go, look, there's a skill set right there. You have to be able to navigate that. You have to be able to decide whether it's worth it for you to put up with this relationship or not, or just don't participate. But there again, that right there could be the stumbling block between you being successful or not. How you handle that situation you just said right there. Are there bad agents? Yeah. There's also very bad truck drivers that they deal with. So if they're have an attitude with you, it's probably because the other truck drivers they've been dealing with all day before they got to you were jerks too, and they just haven't wiped it off their face yet. There is a possibility that maybe he is a jerk. Okay, well then we're not going to do business with him next time, But if you let that affect you, like Mr. Lunatic, he was offended that agents would want him to make check calls, or that they were going to call him and check on him. They had a tracking. They wanted him to put a tracking device on his phone. By God, I mean, let me ask you a question, buddy. Who is writing the check here? The old rule: guy who's paying the tab gets to decide what the order is going to be. If you're writing the check, you have every right to know where your freight is, 24/7. Now if that's a problem,
I'm trying to think of the line. I can't remember it. I don't need to be tracked like a teenage daughter.
Like a teenage daughter. That's right.
Well, hey, Cupcake, stop acting like a teenage daughter.
Yep. But look, if that bothers you, I mean, there's the problem right there.
Yeah.
You haul freight for somebody that's paying you to do it, and if they want to know where it is, I mean, you don't have to do that. But do you think you're competitive now? Do you think that person will use you again? I don't know. This blows me away. But those are the little things that we talk about when we're saying we're not looking to hire a truck driver. If you think that that's the way you ought to run your business, do me a favor and don't call us, okay? Please don't. All right. So I don't have to invest 90 days in you to find out that that's your attitude. Just tell us up front that, you
Yeah.
you have a shitty attitude. You don't like taking care of customers. So we did a couple of interviews. We got a couple of guys coming on. We're pretty excited about.
Yeah.
And
Very
we
much.
did because we're so far apart and we're so busy. We decided to do our interviews on Skype, and it's the first time we've done that. And Chris and I were Skyping with the prospective driver, and I don't know if I don't. We haven't talked about this, but I don't know if you noticed or not. But there's not one, and Chris had already talked to him on the phone. He sort of set this up for me to kind of be. It was like the last interview, but I don't know if you noticed or not, Chris. But I didn't ask any of them about truck driving. The questions we asked him were like, "Where do you want to be in 5 years?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about this? How do you feel about? We didn't even ask him really I didn't even ask them what they made. I have no idea what they make.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is that's not who we're interviewing. We're not. I mean, obviously they got to meet minimum qualifications to come to Landstar, but there again, to me, that's just the given.
Yeah.
Everybody that drives a truck, ought to be able to qualify to come to Landstar. I mean, that just means you've got so many years experience and you didn't run over anybody. Um, but out of those 6 million people that have that CDL, how many of them have the other skills? You know,
Yeah.
and even if you don't, look, the only skill you really have to come here, and it's the one thing that you have 100% control over. And Chris, you know what it's going to be? Attitude. You know, I don't
Yeah.
care. As long as you can drive a truck and do all the things that we need to do to keep your CDL, if you don't know anything about anything, just come with the attitude.
Yeah.
Don't. We're not going to get mad about the agent calling you 5 times. And you didn't answer the phone the first four, and you pissed because he keeps calling you. The guy wants to know where his freight is. I mean, how
Answer the
freaking
phone.
hard is that to figure out?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know,
Well, let's remember though, this is the guy when we first hired him. I sent him a text and I got him on the phone and I said, "Hey man, I sent you a text." And he said, "Oh man, I don't
oh,
answer text
I don't
message.
look at that.
I don't do text messages." I said, "Oh, you do now."
Yeah. He also doesn't listen to alarm clocks very well,
Right.
evidently.
Yeah.
So
Uh, I I can teach trip planning. I can teach how to buy fuel. I can teach how to drive for fuel mileage. I can teach backing. I can't teach attitude.
right, that's
I
exactly.
can't make. I can't fix that. You know.
And that is 100% controllable by the individual. You
Mhm.
every morning you can establish your attitude. It's just you and the world. That's all there is to it. You
Yeah.
can decide this morning when you wake up, I'm going to have a good attitude today, or you can decide that I'm going to just be, screw the world. So,
Well,
but
and
but
two.
those are but look, and Dave Ramsey, they've got this. They've studied like I don't know 100,000 people who've become millionaires or something. I don't know. He's got this latest book,
Yeah.
and they've tracked all these data points for people who've become wealthy. And there's a lot of common things that they find. You know, well, look, attitude is way up that list.
Yeah.
People that don't inherit money and don't get it like that, but have to go out and make it themselves. Pretty much all of them have a good attitude. You know,
And integrity.
and they gain the other knowledge, but you can't gain a good attitude.
Mm-mm.
You know, that's you.
And I think I want to use this word in a non-negative context. Ignorance. In the as far as the definition goes of just not being aware, just not knowing, ignorant of a fact. But
Ignorant is not the same as stupid.
right.
Okay, ignorance you can fix.
Um, Even I, with all of my experience, did not realize until I came to work here that I could make a living and provide for my family as a company driver on a W 2. I did not believe that until I came here. And so there are drivers right now driving trucks, company trucks, and they believe, well, this is it. This is the best I can. This is the best I can do. You know, uh, I'm making 60, 65, whatever. I'm making 40. I'm making 70. This is it. You know, because I mean, I sat at a truck stop countertop the other day, and I heard a guy across from me. Man, you just can't make it. You just can't make no money as an owner operator these days. You just can't do it, man. And I'm thinking, you're an idiot. I make $100,000 a year as a company driver right now. You know, I'm at a fleet where we got 5 trucks, and this moron is sitting across from me. You just can't make no money as an owner operator these days. You just can't do it, man. You gotta. And I'm thinking, how sad it would be to have an attitude that sucks that bad and to have a perspective that is so far off that you don't even understand the industry that you work in. You're so clueless. I mean, I just wonder if being that stupid hurts. Uh,
Well, and they want everybody else to fight their battle. I'm looking at one right now on Facebook. Have you seen this new one, United Coalition of American Drivers?
oh Lord.
It's a new one. And here, their mission statement: help our members and work with businesses in the trucking industry. As you know, we are completely being overregulated out of business. That's their mission statement. Okay. So we as owner operators and company and lease drivers are ready to stand up for our rights. Our mission is to help guide all drivers through the process of all strategic changes in our industry. We support hours of service change to stop drivers from driving fatigue. This is another thing that gets me, okay? Where is personal accountability? Why do you
Dead.
have to have somebody else, why do you have to feel like you got to join with a bunch of other miserable people that do not have any personal accountability either? And y'all together collectively are going to come up with with some accountability. You know, this thing we're talking about with this what's the other group called?
You Truckers United.
Truckers United. And then, of course, we've got the Black Smoke Matters and all the other groups. Those. I mean, I feel sorry for those people. I mean, they are the most miserable people. They have for whatever reason they have lost their ability to compete in the marketplace. Okay. Now, whether it be through thick-headedness and not willing to adapt and change to the current business climate. Maybe their equipment is not practical in today's market. I don't know. But for whatever reason, they're no longer competitive. And so they think that the only way that they're going to be able to stay in business is to get the government or some other outside party to for them to all stand up together and unite and be able to have this impact on the market by this collectivism. I mean, I don't even know how to answer that. I mean, why do they? I mean, look. Last year, Black Smoke Matters had this event. They were going to shut down the country. Okay,
Oh
everybody
yeah.
was going to show up more. They were going to have all these thousands and thousands of trucks in Washington D.C. And oddly enough, it was very very close to the Louisville Truck Show in terms of time.
Oh
And
yeah.
and they were talking about how they were going to have all these trucks up there, and they were going to hurt the business with the shutdown. Okay, and they were talking about having, I don't know, 5,000 trucks or something. I don't know. It wasn't very many, but they were convinced that they were going to make a difference. They were going to impact shipping on there was from a Friday to a Monday over a weekend. On top of that, everybody's supposed to shut down, not haul freight, and we'll teach these shippers and these brokers, what it'd be like. And I'm thinking to myself, I think I even posted, guys, there will be 60,000 people in Louisville, Kentucky, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 60,000 people nobody even notices that they're all there together except the people in Louisville. But you don't see shippers, panicking and trying to, trying to get their freight moved that weekend because the Louisville Truck Show's going on. And I thought to myself, if 60,000 people aren't going to make an impact, what's your little piddly ass little group going to do? I mean, why are we wasting our time trying, to form a union? That's really what we're trying to do is let's form a union where we have power in numbers. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't see much. People can't. The unions are trying to get into some of these non-union assembly plants, cars, and they won't even vote. The people there going, hell no, we don't want you here. Why would I want to give up? All the benefits that we have, everything, all the job we have, to bring you in here and have to give you my money for you to try to get the same thing I've already got. Why do I need that?
Right.
So
I was actually just I've put this up on the screen. This Truckers United post, and I just now read it. I saw Kevin Rutherford had shared it because they mentioned Kevin in here.
Right.
And so I was just reading it, and I have to address this. I can't leave this alone because this thing is filled with so much just bullshit that it has to be addressed. Okay. Concerning California's proposed bill AB5, I'm all for it. Misclassification hurts each and every driver out here on the road. The 2-check system is a viable option. Well, it's not, but first and foremost, lease purchase programs are a con, which he's serious because he put 3 exclamation points. Lease purchase drivers must be cheaper to run, otherwise they are not needed. A company truck with a company driver costs X cents per mile to run. This is true. This could be the only true sentence in the whole post. A lease driver must be cheaper than a company truck or they are not affordable to the carrier. That's illogical. That a lease driver is going to be cheaper. We know this based on the W-2 and 1099 SU episode because it costs more. It does cost more to run to hire a driver than it is an independent contractor. That's what he's saying is somewhat true. The carrier takes a hit in profit in leasing trucks on if the company truck is cheaper to run. It's irrelevant. Okay, now here's where the really good stuff gets. In 1980, the mileage rate was at 80 cents per mile. That would be 264 miles today. Now, this is what George W. Bush back in the day called fuzzy math. All right, number one, there's no citation about the mileage rate in 1980 being 80 cents per mile. I know it was 85 cents per mile when I was on a U.S. Express back in the day driving for an owner-operator. That would be 264 mile a day. So he's made some random inflation calculation to get from 80 cents to 264. And then he says, well, Kevin started a mileage rate of 76 cents per mile in 1988, as I understand it. That will be $1.69. Okay, so again, he's reaching, trying to make a point. And then he says, today in 2019, the mileage rate is around $1 a mile. You asked me earlier when we were talking about this off the air, is this guy an owner-operator company driver? He's 100% not an owner-operator because he's a moron. Not even the spot market index is down at $1 a mile. The spot market index even still is still close anywhere from $1.60 to over $2. So all you would have to do is a simple 30-second Google search to find out what the average rate is in 2019, and it's not $1. Right. So this guy is a moron. And now I heard someone say, you listen to Kevin a lot. This JoJo, is that this guy?
Yes.
Pat Hockaday?
Yes.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
Okay. That must be his picture up there. Okay, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that some of what this guy says is true. None of it is. It's all horseshit. But let's just say that it was. How's the government going to fix that for you?
Same way they fixed detention. Same way they fixed. My comment was, if they can't stop these robocallers from calling me every day, how in the hell are they going to fix this? Okay, that was my comment to the guy.
When you
tell me something they have fixed. The government does one thing good. Military. Pretty good.
No, the best thing to do is collect money. That's the best thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's
but as far as the programs go, but the only one I can think of that's better than if it were private would be military. Everything else would be better off if it was privatized.
I just I cannot personally. Now granted, my personal belief system gets in the way of this a lot. But I just can't get by the fact that if you believe in 2019, with the wealth of information, historical context available to a human being sucking wind on planet Earth in 2019, and you believe that a state government or the federal government is capable of or interested in protecting you from anything, I think you need mental help. I think you should seek a counselor. That is a level of Stockholm syndrome that I don't think we have yet seen before.
Well, but it comes down to the bottom line here is that there's a certain number of people that know that they're able to take care of themselves, and there's a certain bunch of people that don't want to take care of themselves. They'd rather somebody else do it for them.
Right.
And it gets back down to that personal accountability thing again. Unfortunately, that's our society. I mean, and truck drivers are just a cross section of society.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's never going to change. We're not going to change that. But that's why, I mean, look, the majority of truck drivers need to be company drivers. Because they got somebody there, they got benefits, they've got, they just have to show up and do the job. I mean, I don't want to take the opportunity away from anybody, but I just think that allowing drivers, and I said this the other day, other podcasts, allowing drivers to come in and choose company driver or lease operator. I just think that's completely. I mean, you might as well just go ahead and shoot the guy and get him out of his misery right then and there, because he's just going to die a death of 1,000 stab wounds between now and the time he gets out of that truck. But everybody has a choice. And some people don't realize though that they're not prepared for that choice, and so you got losers. And then you got winners, the people that look, get out of my way, give me an opportunity, let me just do this. Okay. I don't know I don't know why some are one way and some are the other. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a sociologist, but I know that that's the case. And, it's just like, I mean, it's like, everybody can't be Bill Gates. Somebody's got to flip the hamburgers at McDonald's. Okay.
Right.
I mean, that's just the natural order of things. Why do people in trucking expect it to be any different? You're not going to have 3 million people in trucking making $200,000 a year. It's not going to happen. Okay. There's going to be 2.99 million that are going to make 35 to 45 to 55, $65,000. And there's going to be a handful, percentage wise, that are going to make a lot.
Yeah.
You could start, you could take everything away from everybody and start everybody at square one tomorrow. And the same ones that were making $250,000 today, they'll in a year they'll get back to where they are. The ones that are on these pages here trying to get, please come save us, government, please
Hmm.
rescue us. We can't do this. We need somebody to protect us. They're gonna be right back where they were.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, when's the government going to come along and be created that protects me from these people? That's what I'm looking for. And of course, it doesn't exist.
No.
There is nobody to protect me from them.
Well, and depending how, I don't want to get into politics here, but I mean, the government wants these people. This is what
Oh,
makes
loves
these
them.
people are voters, okay?
Oh yeah.
So, and look, if the government's handing stuff out, all right, then, they got to have people to hand it out too.
Oh yeah.
That's,
Absolutely.
that's preservation. So,
That's
um,
that's that's serving your market. You know.
absolutely. That's having to,
Yeah.
that's having
That
an attitude of service and taking care of your customer, right?
right.
And if you don't have enough of them here, you just go find somewhere else and bring them over.
Yeah.
So, um,
I guess to focus in a little bit more, the idea of building wealth uh, and the same things that work in the trucking industry to build wealth are the same things that work to build wealth in, as a doctor, as a lawyer, as a plumber, as a electrician, whatever else it is. The principles are the same. We just happen to be using trucking in our situation because it's what we're doing, you know. Uh, but if we were, if this was Blue Ribbon Electrical Solutions and we were stringing wires in houses somewhere, we would probably still be doing the same thing, teaching people uh, how to run and operate a business successfully and efficiently, and then hopefully getting them to go on and repeat the process and do it with others. But that what we're doing here is in trucking. That's where we ended up.
well, it is, and it's just a fluke that I'm in this business. But I realized early on that there was a tremendous opportunity here. I mean, I knew nothing about it. I had nothing at all. But once I got into it and saw what I saw, I'm like, wow, this is really, really, really going to have some opportunities. And then as we started developing this model of doing, of keeping your costs low and being efficient and so forth, and realize what the profit margin was. And then, it just, I mean, it just smacked me in the face. I mean, I saw opportunity everywhere on this deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the thing that amazes me about it, though, and you use electrician, you can anything. To be an electrician, first of all, there's a long process. You can't just be an electrician. You got to have a journeyman's license. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
which means you've got to be a understudy there for a number of years. And then when you decide you're going to do it, you got to go buy a truck and fill that truck full of stuff. I have a personal friend. You said electrician. You didn't know this, but I've got a personal friend that is an electrician, and what it cost him to get in business, it keeps most people from being the journeyman. Most people in electrician work for somebody else because they can't afford what it costs it costs $3 million a day to open a McDonald's. Okay, $3 million to open a McDonald's. I remember it cost $150,000. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
who's got that? Who's got that kind of money? Okay, come to trucking. Go get your CDL, spend $6,000. I don't know, maybe not. You know, go to work in a job that you can make $80,000 a year out of the gate. Okay, with you've spent nothing to get the skills to make that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
We've got. I mean, remember we have a driver shortage. So, I mean, in my opinion, the two things you can do in this that always guarantee yourself a job is either be a nurse or a truck driver. Now, being a nurse takes 4, 5, 6 years to do, and you're going
Mm-hmm.
to have that student debt thing, okay? But
Mm-hmm.
you can get a job anywhere. You can move anywhere in this country and get yourself a job tomorrow as a nurse, okay? And you can do that as a truck driver, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And what if you invested? What if you got invested? Now, this is also the reason why truck drivers don't make more money because they've been in the business 25 years. Okay, the same reason why it's easy to get in is why it doesn't reward people who've been in it for a long time.
Right.
Okay? Because after all, once you teach a monkey how to drive a truck, okay, he's still a monkey. All right? He's just a more experienced monkey, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're running Schneider or Swift, you know, and you look at, okay, if I've got to pay a 30-year monkey, X number of dollars an hour, and I can pay a 1 or 2 year monkey a tenth of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that monkey's going to have a
Because
wreck or two.
there's no difference in what the truck does.
No,
If the truck's got a 30-year driver or a 1-year driver in it,
the
it's
freight
still
gets
hauling the
delivered.
same freight.
The
Yeah.
freight gets delivered. Okay, it gets delivered pretty much the same way. Now, the young guy's going to make a mistake. He's going to wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that's just the cost of doing business. Still, the differential between the young guy and the old guy is a ton of money. A ton of money.
Yep.
So that's all what's good for the goose is also good for the gander here. So it costs nothing to get in. But that's why I say I don't personally I don't see this as a career. I see get in here and work your ass off for 10 years and get out. You don't have to do this forever. It's
Yeah,
hard work. You're away from
it
home.
is.
I drive 3,400 miles a week, to keep one of our customers taken care of. Now, I only got to do it for another couple of weeks, but but look, you got to do what you got to do. But let's roll our sleeves up. Let's get busy. Let's do it. Let's bust it,
Yeah.
and then let's do something else. You know, um,
Yeah.
I
Because
don't.
if you got $1 million in the bank, you've got you've got some investment opportunities in front of
Absolutely,
you.
absolutely.
Uh, yeah, that's I mean, you've talked often about the difference, that you just kind of ended up here, and I've loved trucks since I was a little boy. Um, and I like trucking, I like traveling, I like the machine itself. Um, so I have that little bit of truck driver in me, and I'm okay with that. But that's not where my ultimate identity lies. And I think that's, well, I'm a truck driver. So, so what? I mean, what does that matter to your children? What does that matter to your wife? What does that matter to your friends? If that's all you've got, I'm a truck driver. And that's the only identity you're carrying around.
Let me tell you something that I learned a long time ago. um, if you pick your closest 5 friends, you all 5 average about the same income. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you keep that as your circle of friends, you're always going to make what they make. The only way that you break yourself out of that is you got to surround yourself with people who are making what you want to make. Now, you talk about identify, okay? They don't identify. They identify with a set of goals. Again, you can use a lot of different tools to get to what your ultimate goal is going to be. That doesn't mean you identify with that. That's just the route that you either chose or you fell into.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's generational. Your father did something, you fell into it, and that just was the road that you knew because that's what you were familiar with. Um, that doesn't necessarily mean, number one, had you been choosing that, you might not have even chosen that road. But the point I'm trying to make is that you got to figure out where you want to be. When we interviewed these guys, we didn't ask them too much about where they've been. We asked them where they want to be. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got to surround yourself with people that are where you want to be. Because if you stay with the people that are where you are now, I don't mean you kick your friends out, but I'm just saying you expand your circle of friends to include people that are where you want to be.
Yeah.
And that will rub on. I mean, it'll be a subconscious, psychological change that you'll go through because then you'll start being like those people, you know, and you'll look up and now your circle of friends will be different people. They'll be people at where you are now, not where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, you had friends in high school, right? You know, uh, I look back, I had some really good friends in high school. I'm not friends with them now, you know.
Was that before or after the ark and the flood and all that? Or
just right after. Some of them didn't. Some of them didn't live through the
some of them
flood.
didn't make it?
You know, after
Even.
after being around the number of people I've met in my life, I see now why I know it didn't take many people on the boat. He only took animals. Okay, so I get
Yeah.
that now. So, but if you think about that, that's kind of it's a pretty heavy thing, but it's pretty true, Now,
Yeah.
um, but if you read a lot of self help books and stuff like that, it'll say the same thing. You don't look if you're gonna go in business to do something, you don't go to if I'm gonna we've been using electrician or whatever. If I'm going to be the best electrician in the world, I want to go be around electricians. That's what I want to be. Okay.
Right.
I don't want to go talk to my broke ass friends about how to be a millionaire. They don't have any idea.
No, they
And
don't have a
number
clue.
two, they really don't want me to do that because your friends don't really want you to outperform them. Okay.
Right.
Deep down inside, they're very jealous if you get above your raising. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason why you don't want to do that. If you really want to do something and you really want to be a certain person, a certain identity, you got to go find those people and be with them.
One of
Find
my
out what they do.
one of my friends from high school is a chiropractor and a really, really stand up guy. And I don't know if this is his quote, if he stole it from somewhere, but I'll credit him. He said, "Don't ever argue with idiots. They will bring you down to their level and beat you with experience." And that is so, and there have been a
Good.
couple of times I've gotten a lot better about it. But I remember at some point in the last year or two, I got into a conversation with a guy somewhere and it hit me in the middle. I was like, "Oh no, you're arguing with an idiot." I just walked off. I
Yeah.
just I just stopped right in the middle and just walked off because I thought, God, there's so many precious minutes in the week, and I'm just not going to stand here and argue with this moron anymore. It's just a complete waste of my precious time.
I had to get out of a Facebook group for that very reason because I could not resist. I'd get in there and I would like, oh, I can't. I got to respond, and I end up spending so much time, in this group debating that it was like this is not helping me at all.
Right.
I'm down here, arguing stuff with people who are morons. So I understand fully what you said. Is that you just can't as much as and take that one step further as far as helping people. We've busted our ass to try to help some people but there comes a time when you got to cut bait.
Mhm.
Because it just you're just going to drag yourself down if you continue trying to help somebody that can't be helped. Unfortunately, that's the truth here. They're just a now. Maybe Cupcake will come around in 10 years and realize that, and maybe we give him a second chance. I don't know. That's on him.
I told him the day that he met to bring me the truck. And I said, listen, you get a few years down the road and you want to try this again, call me, you
Sure.
know? And his response was, I'm not going to lose my redneck attitude.
Yeah. I bet he does.
Yeah. Well,
I
at
bet
some
he
point,
does.
listen, I can attest to the fact that there comes a point in your life that you've been broke enough, you'll do all kinds of things that you said you wasn't going to do.
I just bet he does. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Famous last words. Okay. Um, well, we've used him as an example here, and I have, listen, I have nothing against. I mean, listen, what we do here, it's not for everybody, and we'll tell you that right up front. If you're not wanting to work hard, because look, we don't want, this is not a lifetime deal. We want to come in, we want to work hard for a few years, and then we want to move on, I mean, if you decide you want to be a truck driver the rest of your life, that's fine, but you're going to be $1 million truck driver the rest of your life. You're not going to be
Yeah.
not going to be, going to be struggling and broke and, making decisions based on desperation. Well, that's not going to happen. If you come here, we're going to fix you, teach you, show you the error of your ways and give you a direction to go and show you the reasons why, and it once you see it, I mean, it's kind of, look, we're lunatics. Absolutely. We're lunatics. Okay. If you don't believe it, take one of our trucks into a shop and ask them to air the tires up to 125 and watch them look at you.
Mm-hmm.
You must be a freaking lunatic,
Mm-hmm.
Go in and tell them how often we change oil and ask them, and if you could hand them a word for them to spit out, it would be lunatic.
Mm-hmm.
Now they look at you, they don't say anything, but in the back of
Yeah.
their mind, they're going, this guy's a freaking lunatic. You can take anything about our business model is so lunatic compared to the industry. You know,
Yep.
I mean, I
Yep.
can't. I'm gonna send him a Christmas card and thank him for the lunatic because I would never come up with it. And it's even more appropriate for me because I like driving at night. Lunatic comes from lunar, and I'm a lunar driver. Okay, so it even fits me even better. But listen, I'm gonna get me a hat. I'm gonna say I'm a proud lunatic. Okay, and because I mean, honestly, that's what we are. We compared to everybody else in this industry. But let me tell you something else. In just a few short years, we're going to have a bunch of drivers that are going to have lunatic bank accounts
Mm-hmm.
compared to everybody else.
And
Okay,
what I'm hoping to see is that drivers come through our program and they start recreating our program,
exactly.
and each one of them, there's your pyramid scheme.
Right,
If
exactly.
every driver that we train and turn into an owner operator will go and do 10 of their own, we can make an impact on this industry like nobody's ever seen before.
And if not the industry, at least people who need a vehicle to success and
Yeah.
are willing to do this industry to get there.
Yeah. Right,
Um,
because you do not have to have the DNA of Jerry Snow, the Snowman Reed. You don't.
no,
You can come. I mean, certainly there's probably some percentage of the population that is literally incapable of learning how to drive a truck, but it's not hard, and it's easier
There,
than it's ever
there
been.
ain't many. There ain't many. And if look, if they don't, they probably don't have any of the other skill sets either.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look around. Go to a truck stop and look around. Okay, just
Yeah.
look around. I mean, how hard can it be to drive a truck?
Yeah. It is a very
Honestly,
very
I mean, just
diverse.
watch them for a while. I mean, just watch them. Okay, Eh,
You will
Chris.
find in this industry, you will find one of everything. There is every possible demographic, every
Yes.
every race, every religion, every ethnicity, every sexuality, everything. They're all represented in this industry.
Absolutely.
Um,
There are PhDs out here driving trucks.
mhm.
you know, and then there's people that can't get out of their own way.
Yeah,
Different reasons brought him into the industry, but from an investment standpoint, from a self-made person. Now, again, people that inherit money, that's a whole different story. But
yeah,
if you're starting from square one, or in your case, or in a lot of people's cases, starting from negative 20, Okay. There is no, I'm telling you right now, there is no better opportunity than to reverse your situation and put yourself in a situation where you can be independently wealthy than if you can go get your CDL and hang on to it. Then this, where are you going to go make Chris? Where are you going to go make $100,000? And I don't mean this as a slam to you. You know I don't. You know I love you. But with your education, your experience, your back, where are you going to go
Nowhere.
make $100,000? Okay, you
No,
know,
nowhere not without 18 years of school.
or a lot of money, a lot of
Or yeah.
investment. You know, so I mean, yeah, it's a tough job in that you're away from your family and you're driving a truck and you're working 70 hours a week. I get that, but a lot of people do that for a lot less money with
Oh
no
yeah.
upside opportunity. They do it, and they're going to have to do it from now on. You know, in order to, I mean, look how many truck drivers out here are 65 years old and still drive a truck, can't retire. You know,
Hmm.
so you know, now look, just because you get in a truck and get here, it's automatic. No, no. But I'm just telling you, if you will come here and if you'll keep your lifestyle in check, get yourself out of debt. I mean, do the Dave Ramsey thing, okay? Eat rice and beans and rice, and do.
Beans and rice is not keto, is it?
No, it's not. It's just neither one of them are.
You have to come up with a
We're gonna have to
keto
come up with one of
food
those. Yeah,
plan.
bacon and eggs. Like, you
Yeah,
bacon and eggs, and eggs and bacon. Okay,
yeah. Hey, I could
but
live on that.
there you go. But now you ruined my train of thought.
Sorry.
But we
Lifestyle.
also
Keep
say
your
yes.
lifestyle down. Keep your
We have
lifestyle
to
down
live
and
like
make the
no
money.
other, so eventually you'll be able to live like no other.
Yeah.
You got to do all the stupid things right now that people think you're crazy for doing. Like working hard, getting out of debt, you know, not buying a truck on credit, not going out and paying $150,000 for a truck, and then trying to make a living paying that payment. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
And not buying a $30,000 and $40,000 pickup truck either. You
that's right.
know, I
That's
mean,
right.
we just bought a truck for our fleet for $10,000.
That's right.
We could buy three big trucks for what you paid for that stupid 3,500 Dodge you're driving.
Not that you can't reward yourself with that someday,
Right.
but let's wait till you can write a check for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to get out of debt, stay out of debt, don't go back into debt, don't make stupid decisions, okay? And don't be like those other five friends of yours, okay? You're going to lose those friends because if you do what you should do and what we're going to have hope you help you do, they don't want to be around you anyway, okay? Because you're going to eat well that, or you're going to convert them. You're going to turn them into, wealthy truck drivers. But
Yeah.
you know
Take them with
this
you or leave them behind.
And this is a real opportunity. And by the way, out of you 6 million people out there, we only need five of you. Okay, five more, and then
Yeah.
our class of 2020 is done. So I mean, we're going to keep teaching. We're going to keep helping people. We're going to keep, we'll start the list for 2021. But we're trying to get our 2020 class together right now. We got 5 slots open. So
Yep.
I expect Monday morning for our email to be full.
Yeah. Well, speaking of email, that's Chris at blueribbonlogistics.com, Larry at blueribbonlogistics.com. We have the website if you are interested in being a driver. That's blueribbonlogistics.com. You can go there and click on Drive for Us and give us some basic information there, and we'll get in touch with you. You can find us on social media at An American Truck Driver and at Blue Ribbon Logistics. And we, I'm really kind of disappointed in some of y'all people. I'm going to take you to task because we have not received any text messages or voicemails yet on our hotline. And we have a hotline there for a reason. That hotline is 413-24-TRUCK, 413-248-7825. I'd really like to have some voicemails to play, on the podcast so that we could, answer questions that way. So
We'll be
get
we'll be
those coming.
nice. We'll be nice. We won't be hard on you. We won't even use your name unless you want us to. So
I'm going to let you make that promise. I'm not making that promise. Because there's some people, it's going to leave a voicemail in there. They're going to deserve what they're going to get.
that's true.
But so that's it. We're going to shut this one down for now, and get in touch with us. Please share if you like the content you're getting, share it with people. Send them an email with the link. Share the Facebook. Share it on the Twitter. Share it on your Instagram. Share it wherever you can, and just let us know how we're doing. And with that, we're going to shut it down. Everybody, thanks and be safe.
Well, everybody, if you see the opportunity, come join the Lunatics, okay?
Yeah.